how big was that knockout to you? Because I know, Max Holloway was never knocked out. Everybody, all the fans think it was crazy, but what did it mean to you? Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest, because I always knew it. I always knew it that my time would come. But it's always very emotional when you are able to live that specific moments in your life, and especially when you fight a guy like Max Holloway that never has been knocked out. But I knew it. I don't know. So I was born in Germany. I have my brother and two sisters. So my parents decided to go back to Georgia because we are originally from Georgia. So we lived there for 7 years, but in the first 3 years, my parents again have to leave us in Georgia and go back to Europe, because in that moment, we didn't have a great situation in Georgia.
Was there Russia was...
Started once my parent leave us.
Yeah.
Year after or something like that, in 2008. When you are 8-9 years old and you dealing with that kind of situation, and you don't have your heroes with you, which are your parents with that age, it's a little bit difficult. But at this moment, I appreciate everything that I lived, because it creates the man I am today. My goals in the UFC is to stay undefeated, to keep knocking people out. I don't go only and to just win, I fight for the fans. I want to entertain people. I want them to enjoy. Like when I go somewhere, I want people to offer me a great show. That's why I put my money there. So I want to do the same thing to all the fans and be as big as I can. I want to go to the lightweight division now. If the UFC wants me to give me that opportunity, I will become a two-weight class world champion. And I want to keep doing things like that. And outside the cage, as I told you before, I want to motivate and inspire people.
So what makes you want to move up to 155 so bad?
Because I really believe that I can beat the current champion, Islam. I really think that he's a great champion. He does. You can't be a world champion by chance. You know, you have to do things great.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
But I like the competition, and I don't like to be a bully and fight with people that I know 100% that I'm gonna whoop his ass. I like to fight with people that the fans think that it's gonna be very competitive. That kind of expectations I like to create. So with Islam, I'm gonna have that. Doing again the rematch with people that I already fought, I don't think that I'm gonna have the same kind of expectations, for the fans. I have to give him his credits also, because you never know what's gonna happen in the rematch. I'm sure that I'm gonna knock him out once again if we fight again, or I will submit him. I will do the same things. But at the same time, you can't joke with that guy. He's a fucking legend.
Right, that's what I mean.
The only thing he knows to do is fighting. So I can't underestimate him at all, because he's a fucking beast. Like with Max Holloway, I just knock him out. But maybe we fight again, and you never know what's going to happen.
Is there anyone else you'd want to fight at lightweight? I know you said you'd be willing to fight Oliveira.
There are so many excited fights in the lightweight division.
Even Arman now, I guess he's kind of...
Yeah, Arman needs to build himself a little bit more, But at this point, just imagine a fight between me and... I love that dog, Dustin Poirier. He's a fucking fighter, you know what I mean? You know that he goes in and he fights till he dies. You're gonna have that guy in front of you fighting and try to take your head off. That's a very exciting fight for me, and I think for the fans also. Islam is a great fight. Charles is a great fight. Justin Gaethje is a great fight. I can mention you so many great fights that I could have in the lightweight division.
How do you think the UFC doesn't want to make it happen?
I don't think that they don't want to make it happen.
It's in the works?
Yeah, it's in the works. They are trying to figure out some things.
So how do you beat Islam? Is Georgian wrestling better than Dagestani wrestling?
You can't analyze the wrestling that way, because you never know. You see a Russian guy wrestling with a American guy, and it can go either way, you know what I mean? But I have so many things against Islam that he's gonna have some hard time with me. And something he knows and we all know is that the only thing I need to, it's one punch, and you know for sure that I'm gonna connect that one punch, because I don't throw my punches like a crazy you know. I
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my moment, and I apply a lot of technique behind that punch. You know, I move my head and I know where to throw that punches. And we all know that at some point I will connect that punch, and everything will depend on what God will decide. If He wants to go, if He wants to send Islam to sleep or not, who knows that? I know that.
Didn't you say you want to submit him?
Yeah, I can also submit him. To be honest, I always say that I represent the new generation of mixed martial arts, and what that means. Before, you were seeing a guys in MMA, they were good in striking and maybe in wrestling, but their ground game wasn't that good. Or you see a guy who has a phenomenal ground game, he has a phenomenal striking, but his wrestling sucks. In my case, I'm good everywhere. So you can take me everywhere and I'm gonna feel comfortable. They used to say, like, I'm gonna take you to the deep water. I was born in the deep water. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Take me wherever you wanna take me.
Another, I mean, I guess this one's not as possible, but what about a ever possible fight with Conor McGregor? And do you think that does he ever fight again or no?
I don't know. That guy is so sick. He has some problems in his inside world, you know. And at the same time, when he was starting in the mixed martial art, he was an idol for all of us, you know. He was a great fighter, representing good values.
He did a lot for the sport at the end of the day, right?
He did a lot for the sport, but at some point he betrayed all the values that put him in that point. You know what I mean? So he get crazy. He started to be disrespectful with everyone around him, with all the people in the UFC, with all the fighters, with everyone, you know. And at some point, you fall. You know, the people comes against you. They don't like that. If they support you, you have to give them the same love back.
Where do you think his downfall was?
Starting to party like he wasn't a sportsman. Taking drugs, all that kind of shits, you know what I mean? Because we all know that you're always gonna have that kind of temptations, you know. But if you are really a champion, a fucking legend, you can against everything. You have to have that control about the things, not the things that have to have the control about you.
Do you want to not become the next Conor McGregor, but do you think that you'll be that next worldwide superstar? You almost already are,
for sure,
in the UFC. Because that's what I see in you. Like
100%.
your fights are fucking unreal.
Yeah.
You finish fights. You have the sauce. Like you have, and then in the press conferences, I love watching your press conferences. Like I'm always excited to watch them. So do you think?
Very much.
Is that what you want to be? That like worldwide Conor McGregor, next level MMA superstar?
I want to be more than Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? The values he represents, it's not the same values I represent. So that's why I think I'm gonna be even bigger than him. Actually, I'm bigger than him right now. At this point, I'm bigger than him. Maybe more people knows him, but the way they know him, I don't want anyone to know me that way.
Right.
So maybe it takes me a little bit longer, but I want to do it from the good way, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very patient. So I know that there's no elevators in life, and slow is the fastest way to get where you want to be. So
You don't want to rush anything ever.
I don't
right?
want to rush
It never
anything.
pays off in the end.
God times are the perfect time.
It's crazy how far you come. I remember even like you were like beefing with like Paddy the Batty. You guys used to have back beef, and now it's crazy. I'm not trying to shit on him, but it's crazy how much of a gap there is now between stardom.
His hype was like momentáneo. In the moment, he has a lot of hype, this and that, but the quality of the fighter he is, man, come on, please. Don't even compare me to that boom, because we are on different levels and everyone can see that, see it now. that we are on different levels.
What do you think happened with him? Because he was kind of on like he was on stardom trajectory as well.
He was very disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people, and he just behaved like a f***ing idiot. You know, he started to talk about the he had against Russia, and that he said something. Now I understand why the Russians put the in Georgia, and many kids that many people that you know, not a lot of good things happen in the. So when you start to joke about that kind of things, just make sure that we don't find each other anywhere, because I'm gonna take your head off. You know what I mean? He wants to build his hype laughing on people, and that's not the way I'm looking to build a hype.
Who's like your top 3 fighters of all time?
The first one has to be Jon Jones. You have to give the credit to that man, because to me it's too fun when I see people comparing him with the Dagestani guys, even with Khabib, with Islam or that. All the respect to all the champions, but for example, Khabib, he has how many? 14, 15 fights in the UFC. Jon Jones have 15 title defenses.
Jon Jones has transcended eras in the UFC. He's been around since like George St. Pierre, like exactly. Everyone else is retired.
Exactly.
And he's still going.
I don't know. For me, he's the number one. Number two. Wow, that one is a tough question actually. Maybe Anderson Silva.
He was goated back in the day.
I don't want to leave anyone outside that, you know, because I love many of them and I respect, and then they inspire me in different moments of my career. Number 3, who it would be number 3? George St. Pierre.